Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yasodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yasodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jam Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Parivata Kataya Sudara Sata Sri Srimad Abhaitara Naravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namachaya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Go Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai Shri 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 Prahlad Lakshmi Narasimhadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Yamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Navadviv Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad-gītā Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Shrimati Gunamakanana Swami Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Gaura Saṅjaya Data Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami. Okay. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So. Ich habe hier das deutsche Buch. Lesen wir auf Deutsch? Or are we reading in English? Was denkst du? Weil hier... Ja, Mataji versteht nur Englisch. Und ihr versteht auch alle Englisch, oder? Ja. Okay, then we read in English. Aber falls Kishori und Mataji kommt, muss jemand übersetzen. Okay. Okay. Vers nicht an der Tafel, ne? Okay. Okay, we continue to read from the Bhagavad-gītā as it is, translated and commented upon by His Divine Grace, Avecharana Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we read from the chapter 2, contents of the Bhagavad-gītā summarized, and today is text 21. Yeah? Yes? Okay. Okay. Anyone? Yeah, okay, good. Veda vina. If you like, you can try to repeat. Actually, it's a simple verse, simple Sanskrit. Veda vina shinang nityang. Veda vina shinang nityam. Ya enam ajam avyayam. Ya enam ajam avyayam. Katangsa purusha partha. Katangsa purusha partha. Kangatayati hantikam. Kangatayati hantikam. Veda vinashinang nityam. Ya enam ajam avyayam. Katangsa purusha partha. Kangatayati hantikam. Okay. Someone with a book likes to repeat? Veda vinashinang nityam. Veda vinashinang nityang. Ya enam ajam avyayam. Katangsa purusha partha. Kangatayati hantikam. Veda vinashinang nityam. Ya enam ajam avyayam. Katang sa purusa partha. Okay. Veda knows. Avinashinam, indestructible. Nityam, always existing. Yaha, one who. Enam, this soul. Ajam, unborn. Avyayam, immutable. Katam, how. Saha, that. Purushaha, person. Partha, O Partha. Arjuna. Kam, whom. Gatayati, causes to hurt. Hanti, kills. Kam, whom. Translation. O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable, kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? Please repeat. O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable, kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? That was enthusiastic. Nice. Purport. Everything has its proper utility, and a man who is situated in complete knowledge knows how and where to apply a thing for its proper utility. Similarly, violence also has its utility, and how to apply violence rests with the person in knowledge. Although the justice of the peace awards capital punishment to a person condemned for murder, the justice of the peace cannot be blamed, because he orders violence to another person according to the codes of justice. In Manu Samhita, the law book for mankind, it is supported that a murderer should be condemned to death, so that in his next life he will not have to suffer for the great sin he has committed. Therefore, the king's punishment of hanging a murderer is actually beneficial. Similarly, when Krishna orders fighting, it must be concluded that violence is for supreme justice. And thus Arjuna should follow the instruction, knowing well that such violence committed in the act of fighting for Krishna is not violence at all, because at any rate the man, or rather the soul, cannot be killed. So, for the administration of justice, so-called violence is permitted. A surgical operation is not meant to kill the patient, but to cure him. Therefore, the fighting to be executed by Arjuna at the instruction of Krishna is with full knowledge, so there is no possibility of sinful reaction. Om Agyana Timirandasya Ganandala Shalakaya Tsaksuran Militang Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Pasatyade Satarine Vandehang Sri Guru Sri Uttapada Kamalang Sri Gurun Vaisnavangsa Sri Rupang Sagajatang Sahagana Raghunathan Vitang Tang Sajivam Sadvaitang Savadutang Parijana Sahitang Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Ladita Sri Visakan Vitangsa He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kansana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrisabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Deyang sada paribhavagyam abhistadoham tirthas padang siva virintyanutang saranyam pratyartihang pranatapala bhavabdipotang vande mahapurusate charanaravindam. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Veda vinasinang nityang ya enam ajam avyayam katang sa purusa partha kangatayati hantikam. O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? Hare Krishna. So, we thank all of you for coming and blessing this event of Krishna Katha, and we beg for your blessings that I can extend some blessings to you through the Bhagavad-gītā and Srila Prabhupada's mercy on us. So, the topic of proper violence is especially emphasized in the present purport here, and it is within this section of around 20 verses where Krishna is stressing with great very, very strongly the point that we are not the body, that we are the living being apart from the body, and the body is temporary, and the whole situation related to the body is temporary actually, but the soul in the body is eternal and will continue after the body. So, and yes, and that example which is given many times in Srila Prabhupada's books actually, and which is very controversial, and maybe it's not the topic to present in a welcome class to newcomers or curious people who see what is the philosophy of the Hare Krishna people. People, they associate spiritualism with peacefulness and non-violence, and and here Srila Prabhupada is explaining from the Manu Saṅjaya that if a person kills another person, then the state has right to kill him also, systematically. So, if we don't understand that we are not this body, then we cannot appreciate such laws which relate to spiritual understanding. It says that sometimes if a person is killed because of murder, he has killed someone himself, and when he is killed, it says that if the person has a proper spirit of repentance, he can even go to heaven after being killed in that way. So, in other words, he gains great piety in that acceptance of punishment. So, and I would like to transfer the whole topic of proper use of violence to a more practical environment, which is our daily lives. And one thing actually is there also that I was just doing in the garden, and I was taking out plants which they have to make space for other plants, or maybe they're just taken away because the season is changing. I was just told to take them away, so I did. And as I was doing, I was thinking, actually it's a very sad service, like take the life, and then take the plant, uproot, and put it outside in the sun so that it will dry up. So that soul in that body is certainly not comfortable right now. But we can be assured that the plant has given its flowers for the Lord, And the Lord, He does not forget, and He knows that spirit, soul in that body. And who knows where those souls are now continuing to go. So the same principle is there, that whenever something or someone is connected to devotional service to the Lord, that personality becomes blessed and the journey is auspicious. And in our everyday life, there's one more thing which I thought about yesterday especially, that there's also a kind of violence in relationships, because relationships are how to say, divided in hierarchy. And this is also something that is not appreciated so much in modern society. So much so that I many times I meet, like on book distribution or also here, some guest is coming, and especially if they're from Germany, I will, and many times I meet some senior men or also women, ladies, and I in English, how can you explain this? But in German you have du und sie. In Polish you also have two things, like more informal, like your peer, and the senior one you use a different address. Yes, so you also know this. So and I will use the formal address. I will say Sie, ne? Wo kommen Sie her? Ne? Und möchten Sie sich setzen? Darf ich Ihnen ein bisschen Prasadam, was zu essen geben? So, möchten Sie ein Glas Wasser? So, and many times they will say, lass das Sie, sag du zu mir. So they will feel practically disturbed that I address them, that I offer them that position of a senior. So that is the topic here, that we can also relate to this, that there's seniors and juniors and peers in between also, and it is the junior, he may unconsciously or consciously sometimes apply some kind of violence to a senior. Like a small child will keep the mother awake at night, or when the child grows up, he will do some nonsense and give pain to the parents. But that is something he will not, how to say, he will not do that with a conscious intention to hurt, if he's not very cruel in nature. But in general, children and teenagers, then especially, they will challenge the parents. They will, and especially in nowadays culture, like children, when they grow up, they will inflict a lot of discomfort and ultimately suffering upon the parents and other senior people also, like teachers. Have you ever tortured your teachers in some way, minutely or very extensively? So that may happen, but it is not, how to say, the main reason why a junior is not appreciating the senior is a lack of empathy. He's not mature. That is mostly the reason. So, and we see that, like, people who are more cultured, the juniors, they will be more empathetic. They will have less cruelty towards their seniors. But we may catch ourselves that sometimes we treat our seniors with some kind of violence, unconsciously, or because of our own lack of empathy and attentiveness to another person. So that is a fault. But the more interesting thing in relation to this principle outlined here is that the senior will also inflict violence on the junior. Just like even Krishna's mother Yashoda is inflicting violence by tying up her son, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, with rope. So, but her only purpose is that he will be good. He will be well behaved. He will be a good. He will develop good character and therefore be better off in life. Once I was visiting. Once I was in Linz together with maybe Vedasara, I don't know anymore. But I was in Linz and I came back back here by bus, and I remember that this was a very strong impression for me. There was 2 ladies and 5 or 6 or I don't remember how many children, and I could not tell where they are from. Maybe they were from Syria or maybe they were Romanian. They were like from a different country, speaking a different language also. And the 2 ladies, they were like relatively young, and it must have been their children. And one thing I found interesting: the children, they were very they looked very blissful, like very blissful personalities. They were like. They looked very happy, and you know, like a person, he can look very happy, but it's a kind of fever. He's like out of reality because he looks so happy, it's a mental thing. He's like in his mind. He's caught in his mind in some, and then sometimes very happy, sometimes very depressed. But they were not like that. They were like shining in the moment. They were. I was really amazed, like to just watch them. They were very content and ecstatic children, and the ladies, they were talking with each other like something, and then the boy, I don't remember any details, but the boy he was like, maybe he was teasing his sister or something was there, and one of those ladies, maybe the mother, I don't know, probably, she would start like beating him with words, like severely, like strong words, like really, like of German we say schimpfen, you know, like, and you really be heavy on him, and she strongly said that, and then she was like just very mildly and peacefully talking again with her friend, and the son, he was just, you know, and as she was like chastising her son with strong words, I really felt like, you know, in his subtle body there comes out this idea, and I can do this mischief, and the subtle body is like, this can be done, and I would like to do this and that, and like all his like childish craziness tries to emanate from the subtle body, and the woman is like with the hammer of her words, she's just chopping down each of those bubbles. and I really felt like she's only using her strong words to protect him from getting into a weird mindset. She was only protecting his sanity with her strong speech. There was nothing else in that. There was nothing else. There was no anger. There was no hatred. There was no frustration in her whole behavior. It was simply that I'm helping him to not be spoiled. So I really felt like that very strongly, and I found that so interesting, that incident. I felt that so interesting, because it is also our philosophy that a child after 5 years of age has to be dealt with very strictly. So, especially boys, but I guess all children to some extent. And so that principle is there, that the senior, he has a responsibility to apply that kind of violence. Prabhupada is saying, not for, what is that? A surgical operation is not meant to kill the patient, but to cure him. So that principle of violence is something that a devotee, as a senior, has to learn. You can think about that now, because if you, I'm sorry if it's boring, but if you are a junior devotee today, and if you don't fall away from the practice of Krishna consciousness, if you just continue one day after another, you will become a senior devotee. it is guaranteed, no? The law of time is very stringent. So if you just follow the process of Krishna consciousness, you will become a senior devotee. And people will bow down to you and grab your feet sometimes and things like this. So, and then you have a very great responsibility, because there's no harm in correcting a junior for something wrong. But there's great harm if you don't have a pure heart. If you have your own frustration, your own small anger and your grudge and your unfulfilled desires, whatever is there that covers your purity of heart, that will cause great havoc in the lives of others. Whereas if you don't have that, if you have a pure heart, if you have chanted nicely and you're properly situated in your like journey of devotional service and spiritual life, you can do so much welfare work for your fellows, for all the juniors, for everyone who has admiration for you, for everyone who has some adoration for you. You can do so much welfare work for them by helping them to not be spoiled. Because the tendency of the junior is always that he will stay spoiled and try to be spoiled because he doesn't know better. Because junior means he's like helpless, he's foolish, he doesn't know better. So if you're a senior devotee and if you can well-wishingly chastise a person in such a way that the person will not be frustrated, like that small boy. That small boy, there was not an inch of like he was not crying, he was not unhappy, he was just, yes, my mother is right. He was just happy. And then they went off the bus, and I remember that detail, that there was one child helping the other child to get off the bus. So they were very like socially competent people. That was my impression. So as a senior devotee, we should know that if we are able to, with a pure heart, correct others, of course, not only chastise, but also encourage, also do whatever is needed for another person to move in the right direction and not in the wrong direction. That is welcome. So, and it's underestimated. I think nowadays it's strongly underestimated. But Srila Prabhupada, like there was one thing. I don't remember anymore of the detail, but anyway, but the general principle was that Srila Prabhupada, he would never praise his disciples. Like he would never tell the person that, yes, you did so nice. He would maybe sometimes he did that also, but rarely. Most of the time he would tell his disciples, like, what are you doing here? Work harder, do quicker. You can do better than that. Don't do nonsense. There's this recording of japa, and then Prabhupada interrupts his own chanting and says, sit properly. So that's the mood. He will always be like, be strong on, and make sure that his disciples become straight and strong. And he will not allow them to go astray. And recently we had those two brahmacharis here, Vishnuchitta Prabhu and Abhimanyu Sutta Prabhu. And Abhimanyu Sutta Prabhu, he was last year, as far as I understood, the world's second best book distributor. Like, that's amazing. And so we had a little association then, and I asked them a little like, how are you so successful? And Abhimanyu Sutta Prabhu, he said that his authorities, like Vishnuchitta Prabhu and whoever else, they are like really cautious that the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance don't creep in. Ultimately, chastisement is for that. Curb down the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance. Get it out. Get it out. Only mode of goodness and transcendence. Those two things are allowed. Mode of goodness, okay, we give you that concession. If you're materially conditioned, at least you have to be in the mode of goodness. And temple life also is designed like that, ultimately. If you go to bed early, if you rise early, You come for Mangala Arati, you take bath before you come, you take bath 2 times or 3 times a day, you eat at regular timings, and there's a code of behavior not to be harsh and whatnot. So many things are there, and of course they all are conducive ultimately for a relationship with Krishna, but on the way also it helps, like it establishes us in the mode of goodness. As much as we are connected with the material modes, then the mode of goodness is how to say, encouraged and stimulated. So and Prabhu said that we are not allowed the mode of passion. We are not allowed the mode of ignorance. So, and I noticed that a little bit, like the senior brahmachari, the junior brahmachari, he was like, a few times I overheard like how he's saying that, why is it like this? Why is it like that? No, he was also like strict, like, why are you not tidy? Why are you not on time? Things like this. And so this principle is very powerful. And it is the greatest mistake to condemn it very quickly, that principle that a senior is, he has some what is a good word? There's some space for that, that mode of correcting others. It's allowed. And if a junior can be a little humble and a little sensitive, that this person is not just like angry with me, this person is not just beating me for nothing. No, he's actually interested in my welfare, and that should be felt. Like with really mature devotees, one also feels that. Like one person who really impressed me recently, not so recent anymore, but not so far along also, that was His Holiness Trivikram Maharaj came here, and he stayed here for a few days, and like his whole aura was, you're nonsense. Like on the surface. Like I remember, like we took him to Harinam in Passau, and and somehow I was allowed to be the driver in the car, and so I put the car in front of the guest house, and then he came out, and I was outside the car also, and I offered my obeisances, and he just told me that, you nonsense, did you not offer me obeisances in the morning? Can you not help me to get in the car now? Where should I go in? So externally it was like just like very strong in that way. But you can just feel that he has no grudge, there is no enmity. He's full of love, and on the way there, he was kind of grave. He was like introvert. I asked him 1 or 2 times something, and he gave 1 sentence answer, and he was quiet in that way, and he didn't want to speak. So I felt like, okay, I'll just try to not move, like I'll try to not disturb him at all, and I just silently drove there. But then on the way back he talked a little, and as he was talking I felt like he's like a small child. He's so his character is so tender, is so sweet, is so beautiful, and because he's so and I felt like he's putting himself in a very vulnerable position like that, sitting next to me and speaking, and I felt like he's very vulnerable actually. He's very soft. If I say one wrong word, I will break him. And so it's so fascinating, those advanced devotees. Like it says, hard as a thunderbolt and soft like a rose. And at the same time, how can it be like that? But they are. So that principle is there. And that is real seniority. If you can, like, there was one period I would also listen to the lectures of another sannyasi and spiritual master, who in his lectures he would be so heavy, like constantly, whatever he spoke, it was simply a great, like one big chastisement. But I really loved his lectures. I felt like every time I hear his lecture, he's like, like specifically also, he is like, he was commenting also on the Bhagavad-gītā verse, and he was like making, he has a way of like very slowly and with great force he makes his point, and he would read the sentence once, and he would read it twice, and then he would read it for the third time, but the third time he changed one word, like he gave that own realization in changing one word. And I felt like he's just swinging the sentence around once and twice, and then he throws it into my heart and it explodes and it crashes my false ego. and sometimes also when advanced devotees speak strongly, I noticed that it is really a purification. Like it's a kind of suffering for the mind, actually, because the mind is really feeling that, oh, now we are being purified, like we are being scrubbed, like with a strong brush, and sometimes the like mature devotees, and yeah, I also remember that there was one sannyasi also here once. He was a disciple of His Holiness Gaur Govinda Maharaj, who used to beat disciple or like people in the audience during the class with a stick on the head. So, and he's considered like such a pure devotee. So pure devotees sometimes they chastise very heavily. And I remember this disciple of His Holiness Gaur Govinda Maharaj, he was here as a guest also, and he was speaking. And I noticed the first day he was speaking, like so many people came, they all listened, but he was giving a heavy class on birth and death and disease and old age, and how you're an idiot if you want to enjoy in the material world. And then he gave classes for a few days, and less people came to those classes. And I felt like many of them they cannot handle it. It's too hard on their mind. It's too strong a medicine at that moment for them. So that happens. So, but if you can tolerate, if you can be patient in that kind of situation where the sadhu has decided to cut your material attachments with his strong words, then if you can go through that, you will feel transformed, and you will feel more peaceful and more satisfied and more sober and more purified. Simply by hearing from great devotees, we become powerfully purified. So, and as a junior, we should always look for that association, especially if they are very mature. And yeah, so having said all that, how the senior is allowed to inflict that kind of violence to the junior for his own well-being, I would also like to say one. What would I like? Yeah, we would like to say that one thing also, because it is said that as a senior, you have to help, you have to guide, you have to be a friend, you have to help the other person, and then like everything that I explained now, he can sometimes be a little strong or harsh externally. So and how do we, as a junior, how do we respond to that? No? Like we always duck and say yes, and we never say a word. And the strong tendency is to do that mechanically. And if we do that mechanically, we will suffer severely, because we will sometimes feel that was too much. And sometimes it is too much, because it's not easy to be a senior. So, and you may feel that was too much, but I have to do like this. And then you build up some grudge inside. Huh? If you cannot properly deal with that, you will build up grudge inside. And then you will suffer a lot from that grudge. And you will become offensive because of that grudge. Because the senior is trying, and maybe he's not so senior at heart, but he's senior in position. And then still it's his way of becoming purified to sometimes correct, sometimes point out some faults in us. And we will feel that, yeah, maybe he's right, but this is too much. This is not good. So at that point, we should take an opportunity to learn on how to be properly related to that person. And we heard one seminar recently from His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, and he quoted a statement from one writing of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained in one paragraph how the junior should relate to the senior, and that is very important. I will give you now a big weapon against seniors. a big weapon, and use it wisely. So, but you have to become qualified to use it also. I will let you find out what that is. If you have some tool, or you have any capacity, you have any talent, you have anything, which thing will obstruct you the most from using it?
The belief that I'm not worthy to do?
That's more subtle already. Something really gross. There's one thing that is very gross. And it's associated with the mode of ignorance. And it will keep us from taking advantage of anything. What is that? Yes? Yes, laziness. If you're lazy, you cannot do anything. If you're lazy, you cannot never do anything. So I tell you this now, but in order to use this, you cannot be lazy, because you have to think. It's not enough to do something mechanically. Whatever I tell you now, if you want to use it, you cannot be lazy. If you want to take advantage of what I tell you now, you will get a lot of advantage. I have great confidence in that. But you cannot be lazy. If you are lazy, you cannot take advantage of what I will tell you now. That is very important. Not being laziness means laziness of mind in this context. You cannot have a lazy mind. You cannot have that kind of mind which thinks, I will do it tomorrow, I will do it later, let me eat and sleep. No, if you have that consciousness, you cannot take advantage, you have to think. So, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's writing that the junior, there's a few things. He should serve the senior as much as possible. And that relates to parents, it relates to teachers, of course, especially to the spiritual teacher, to the guru. But one should serve the seniors as much as possible. And one should try to please them and get their blessings. And then there is one very revolutionary statement, and that is what we are emphasizing here. He should protect his seniors by correcting them. What? You should correct your seniors. How to do that? So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, with humility and gentleness and sweet words at the right time. You should be humble, you should be gentle, you should use sweet words, and you should do that at the right time. So, and you have to think. It's like you have to make a strategic planning. If you want to tell something to someone like that, you have to, like you can think about it, like what is a nice challenge in that regard? Is it your senior roommate? Is it the temple commander? Is it the temple president? Is it the senior devotee who has come here and you feel that he didn't treat properly one other devotee or something? So you can make a challenge for yourself. It can also be fun is maybe the wrong word, but a very fulfilling experience to try to apply this principle. You have right. I think we should not do that like all the time, but sometimes we may feel the need for that. So try that. If you come into that situation and the senior is like doing something you feel that is not good, can you find the way to address that thing properly, like. And you have to prepare yourself. You have to go through. You have to prepare yourself. Your inner attitude. You have to prepare yourself. You have to check: am I humble? Am I able to treat that person with gentleness? Do I know how to address the whole thing with the right words, not provocative, not like pointing fingers, but with a genuine concern for everyone's well-being? Have I prepared my mind like that? And then, what is the proper moment? Maybe after prasadam, like if someone has a full stomach, he is somewhat peaceful, satisfied. Or, like, usually we know to some extent what are the, like, movements of our fellows. Like the people around us, we have some idea of that. Okay, in the morning he's doing like that, in the evening like that, and in between like that, and this time very busy, maybe not, but this time very relaxed, very nice. Okay, so you can. It's like a whole, not a game, but it's something to be strategically done, and that's another misconception. I noticed that in my own mind again and again, but also in general, that we tend to think that if we do anything systematic, that is mechanical. It's not. It's not. It may feel like that initially if we do something because we're not used to it. We're not used to drive the car, we're not used to, swim, we're not used to learn verses or whatever we do. We're not used to it. And therefore, there is difficulty. But or like a child which tries to walk, you could say that is mechanical. But still he just tries and soon he will just run around like anything. So in the same way, we should not think that, I have to be so systematic and therefore that's not my heart, that's not me to do such a thing. So no, this systematic, don't think that you cannot do like that. And you should spend enough time to apply such, let's say, systematic approaches. One should spend enough time to prepare oneself for that, so that one feels that, yes, my heart is with that. I'm not just going there and speaking some words which I have thought about. No, we should feel that our heart. We should feel natural. And ultimately it is natural. So Vaishnava relationships, there are some ritualistic elements and some elements of etiquette. Strong, actually that is very strong in our culture, to have some etiquette also. So, yes. So, and that way we can correct seniors, and we will not feel so much harassed by violence of seniors, even if sometimes it's like out of order. Okay, I thank you very much. I'm sorry that I got carried away to speak so long, and I'm sorry to the Pujari. Yeah, you can think about what I said if you like, and I thank you very much that I could think about it myself by speaking. And now let us worship the Lord. Srimad Bhagavad-gītā ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai.